Welcome to Combat Cocktails. I'm your host, Derek Schomer. Today what we're going to do is we're going to kind of break down what you need to have in your bar to have a kind of a full bar, a full home bar. Obviously, you don't need everything you see at the liquor store. Obviously, you don't need everything you see at the bar because they probably have like 50 different rums, yada, yada. So let's just break down. And this could get long, so I'm going to try to summarize some things just to kind of keep it moving along. And we can make a different video on remake, really, because I've done this before, a video on how to probably do this in a more affordable fashion. But if you're like some people, a lot of people actually, and you're just like, hey, I got $300. I'm ready to build a bar. What do I get? What's the order? What do I do? What kind of cocktails can I unlock? So I'm going to break this down into like, what are the tools? What's your toolbox of spirits that you're going to use? What are the kind of the modifiers or the spice rack? What are the seasonings? And then we're going to do our expansion pack if you really want to build out that bar. And then show you a few of the cocktails. We'll make them. We'll take forever. Give you a list of some of the cocktail breakdowns that you're going to be able to unlock by having these series and phases of purchases. So phase one, we're going to start with your kind of the 6 essentials. And this is not a hard and fast rule. I break it all the time. But the 6 essentials would be having a vodka, having a gin. So you're going to have your whatever your run-of-the-mill workhorse vodka is that you enjoy. If you enjoy vodka, if you don't even need vodka, but I'll explain in a second. So let's go with like Tito's. We're not going top shelf here. We're in the middle, right? We're not at the bottom of the plastic jars, but we're a little someplace in the middle. So we get Tito's. We're going to use a London Dry Gin. We're going to pick Beefeater. You could pick Bombay in this category, Tanqueray if you're into Tanqueray. And from there, I split my whiskeys up into both a bourbon and a rye. So you could do a Bullet, you could do Basil Hayden, Knob Creek. I picked the ones that I think fit within the $20, $30 range. We get a Bullet rye. So we have Bullet bourbon, Bullet rye. They're both easy to get at. Don't pay attention to the labels. This is 12 years, probably going to be more expensive. I tend to buy more expensive whiskeys because I enjoy it. For your rums, a light rum, Plantation 3 stars, great. Get a little bit of sweetness to it if you're into more of the sweet cocktails. I'm all out of this, but obviously Bacardi, Superior. If you're international overseas, I would suggest you get yourself some Havana Club. Bring it back to the States on your way. An aged rum, I like the original dark. But that dark rum is going to be more, it's going to have a lot more different, like vibrant flavors compared to an aged rum. So this is going to give you a little bit more of that warm, creamy character, where this is going to be more light and kind of like the workhorse of rums. But having a dark and a light, or a light and an age, is a good idea. Yeah, I have a video I'll link below on what the categories of rum mean, why is it aged, what's dark, what's light, all that stuff. So that we already have a video on that. Next, your tequila. Clearly, I would go with Luna Azul personally in the $20 category. 25, this one's more expensive, it's bigger. You could go Hornitos, Espolon, whatever you like in that category. And yes, I understand the tequila aficionados are yelling at me. This is not for people who are building a tequila bar. This is people who are building a full bar. Last but not least, your brandy. We'll explain why you need the brandy. If you watch our channel, you'll find out I don't use the brandy very often, maybe once a year. So if it were me, I would just forego brandy entirely because I could totally not care about any of the brandy cocktails. And I would fold in there an American gin to pair with my London Dry Gin. This is going to be juniper heavy. This is going to be a little bit more citrus heavy. So you get a nice path to different types of cocktails and different nuances of your gin cocktails. Did some research, and I also used AI to help generate some of the pricing and estimates. But when this is all said and done, the intro, the core toolbox of your bar is probably going to run you $140 to $160 for about 6 bottles. If you're in the United States in a reasonable area that has reasonable taxes. Otherwise, I cannot help you, except to say you should probably move. Let me wipe these away for a second. Final word on vodka for my vodka friends and my vodka enemies. Well, I guess those would be people that are like me and don't like vodka very much. I use this powerhouse tool for other things. Infusions, if I wanted to make a strawberry liqueur, if I wanted to make certain types of bitters, if I want to make an elderflower infusion or basil infusion, you can do some of those. Basil and gin work very well. However, if you're just trying to extract the flavors, vodka is great for that. Especially if you get a higher proof vodka, it's going to extract the flavors really well. Put like rinds of limes in there and stuff like that and be able to just extract all the flavors. You could also use sugar, but obviously that's going to create a inherent sweetness with the flavor, which you may not want. When I think of vodka, what I like is stuff like this. Like chocolate vodka, double chocolate 360 vodka. This stuff is fantastic. They're not sponsoring, but I would take their money. Next, let's just break down a couple. First off, you get your sweet and your dry vermouths. They're spirits, so I still include them in the list. Having a sweet and dry vermouth could be helpful. Orange liqueur, you're gonna probably want an orange liqueur. Now, if you wanna get fancy, you can, or how about this? You buy yourself 2 cheap orange liqueurs. You get yourself a blue curacao and you get yourself a regular orange liqueur, whatever the like $6 to $10 bottle brand is. My pricing for that is about $20 to $30. So you can get a Cointreau. That's going to cost you $35. You can get something like this, which is like $8 for a big plastic jug, decouper or whatever it is. Or you can get like a blue curacao and this combined and still stand at that price. If you were just starting, I'm going to tell you right now, and you probably heard me say how great some of these orange liqueurs are. Having 2 different versions of this is going to go a long way to creating some crazy stuff. Like the Adios motherfucker, you need this for it. But margarita, you need this. But you can make blue margaritas with this. They taste the same. And lastly, you're probably going to want, then this is for your spice rack. So you got your sweet and dry vermouths. You've got your orange liqueur. The next thing I picked is this apparently open bottle of Campari. Give me a second. This open bottle of Campari. And you might be saying, Derek, I know how you feel about Campari, and I think it's the most disgusting thing on the planet. That's fine. You don't have to love Campari. I don't. But Cynar is a nice alternative. It's not as bitter, but it's close. Aperol, I would personally start with the Aperol because it's going to unlock drinks that I do want to have that have Amaro in them. And it's red. And it's kind of like drinking Campari, but not as bitter. Montenegro, Averna, these are your options. Different colors, they might change how the drink presents. Not to mention the flavors will be different. But in general, having an Amaro is going to make other cocktail creations easier. Plus, having that Amaro gives you the ability to kind of like substitute one Amaro for the other when you don't have one and just get away with it. So the spice rack is about 4 bottles. These are what would be called modifiers, modify agents when you're making different cocktails. You're looking at the classic cocktail blend of having a core spirit, a modifier, water, and a bitter, and often a juice or whatever. But the next category, of course, would be bitters. These are kind of like the seasonings. So what would be the difference between a seasoning and a spice be? The spice would sort of be like using coriander or oregano or maybe some sort of Indian spice or Mexican spice. These are more like your salt and peppers, right? So Angostura bitters, you got to have Angostura bitters. Having an orange bitter is also pretty fantastic. Angostura makes an orange bitter. And having Peychaud's is another one that is fairly essential for a lot of the classics if you want to deep dive into the classic recipes. This has got a little bit of like that wormwood, anise, like black licorice flavor. This has got more like trade spices and nutmegs and cinnamons and stuff like that. Orange, well, it's got orange. And it's also bitter. So if you take your spice rack, that is going to ring up about $75 to $100 worth of just those products. And Amaros can get pretty pricey if you're not paying attention. But you could get some pretty good deals for the $20, $25. Bitters, $25, $35 worth of bitters. You can buy them on Amazon. They're non-potable, so they're really able to sell them just like they would with a vanilla extract. So that's fine. I have a couple at awesomedrinks.com as well if you want to pick those up. So at this phase, if we just drew a line in the sand right here, we're at $240 to $300 worth of spirits and bitters. We're going to have 11 to 13 bottles of stuff that we could play with. That probably would get you 80% of the classics, at least the ones you probably would typically use, martinis and stuff like that. But let's go to the next phase. This I call the expansion pack of modifiers. But just to spin ahead for a second, we're going to look at about $200 to $300 worth of expansions. So once you've expanded and you've already invested, now you're going to be able to double down on that over time. You don't have to buy them all at the same time. What do I place in my expansion pack? A few familiar friends here. Aperol. So if you did end up getting Campari, now would be the time to get Aperol. Otherwise, now would be a good time to get Campari or one of the other Amaros. You can even go with like Amaro Nonino if you want to make paper plane cocktails and stuff like that. And you can use it for anything that calls for Amaro, pretty much. You're going to find that a lot of cocktails call for Aperol. We use it a lot. We go through a lot. I usually have a couple bottles. There's probably another one around. Next, Absinthe. You can get a bottle of this. It's going to last you for ancient times. You usually use like no more than 6 drops, unless you're making Absinthe for Absinthe, stuff like that. But you really have to like Absinthe. if you're going to drink absinthe. If you're just looking to build a bar, to have access to a lot of different cocktails, get a bottle of Pernod, call it good. Cynar, if you haven't substituted Cynar for your other Amaro there, the Campari, now's your chance to get that. We're going to cover a couple cocktails with Cynar. Dom Benedictine. Benedictine is a nice, sweet herbal liqueur. You'll notice there's a theme here. But unlike these that are more bitter, this one's going to have a unique sweetness to it that you're going to find in a couple popular cocktails that are super yummy. So we want that. Maraschino Liqueur. If you had to pick and start from which one of these do you buy first and second, I'd get yourself Luxardo Maraschino and Aperol and call it a day. Like, that's a good starting lineup to this expansion pack. Find this in a ton of cocktails, lots of classics. We'll cover those in a second as well. Yellow Chartreuse. You can get the green Chartreuse variant, but for building your bar for the most general out of the two, because you're probably going to be paying maybe anywhere from 30 to 50 for each. And I've heard some people leaving comments saying that they can't find it at all. So given its exclusivity, if you could find a yellow, it's nice. It's going to be more mild than green. That's kind of the way I sell it, is it's just more mild than the green. So less herbal, a little bit more sweetness. You can use it in combination with sugars to give your cocktails a little bit more of that sweet flavor. And then last but not least, Velvet Falernum. Threw this in the list because I love tiki, and usually having Velvet Falernum, especially if it's a liquor variant versus the syrup, if you could find this, it's going to age and last a lot longer than buying the syrups. But you could just buy a Falernum syrup if you want to from BG Reynolds, probably on Amazon, and you're going to get like a 26 or a 15 ounce bottle or whatever. They just will eventually age out because they're sugars. So there you go. You got another $300 to look at right here. These tend to be a little bit more pricey. So phase one kind of gets you your starter bar, what you could call like a serious bar. And then once you move into phase two, you're getting the deep cuts, you're getting into those classics, you're going to be able to make all kinds of new cool cocktails. When you open a classic cocktail book, it's not going to be like, oh, I don't have that, oh, I don't have that. You're going to end up with most of the essentials. Clearly in this list, things I'm missing that you can also purchase, and a lot of these you can get at the grocery store. We can't get alcohol in the grocery store, so that's special for us. I know some places you can get this all at once, but getting grenadine, some different syrups, you can make your own simple syrup at home. But I think grenadine is probably the one most people would have for like tequila sunrise and stuff like that. Now let's just break down a couple of these drinks, right? So what are you going to make with this stuff? With the gin, obviously you're going to have your martini. And if you picked up the Campari, you can make a Negroni. Otherwise, you can make a different type of Negroni using the other Amaros that just won't have as much extreme bite to them. If you're having a full bar because you're going to be entertaining guests, I would suggest you have a Campari available for those people who ask for a true Negroni. You've got your gimlets, your G&Ts, your gin and tonics, and your gin sours and other type of gin variants, bee's knees, stuff like that. You'll be able to make with just a London dry bottle of gin. You can use American gin for substitution for most of those as well, especially gin and tonics. Vodka, your Mule, your Cosmo, your vodka martinis, your espresso martini. You could, if you wanted as a bonus, get like a vanilla vodka for your espresso martinis, or even a coffee vodka. You can add a coffee liqueur in here if you want to like get a little crazy, but you could make an espresso martini with just a bottle of vodka and some coffee. And a Cosmo requires orange liqueur, and you'll have that, which gives you your margarita as well. Whiskeys for your bourbons and ryes, I just kind of blend them together here. You get your Old Fashioned, your Manhattans, your whiskey sours, your Boulevardier, and your Sazerac. Sazerac calls for Peychaud bitters. Here you go. You've already got a need for it. With your rums, you get your daiquiri, rum, lime, sugar. Rum, lime, sugar. Gotta have rum, lime, sugar. Rum, lime, sugar. Mojitos. If you want to make them and you get some mint, make yourself some mojitos. The dark and stormy, you can do with the dark rum. This case, I would suggest if you want to make a proper dark and stormy, you use Gosling's rum, which is another dark rum, which is in my bar bag that I bring wherever I go. So it's not available at the bar right now, but dark and stormy is essential if you like ginger beer. You can probably pull off a Mai Tai if you get yourself some orgeat syrup. It's an almond syrup. You can get them at places that sell like ingredients for making coffee. Typically, it's like a syrup that some people use. You can buy it on Amazon. Of course, if you're going to make a lot of Mai Tais, you could also invest in a $30 bottle of Denizens or something that's kind of got a little bit more character than the light and the aged. For a Mai Tai, 2 ounces, I do both, a light and an aged, 1 ounce each. The El Presidente, if you like dry vermouth and rum, which I'm not a big fan. Tequila, obviously Margarita, Palomas, Tequila Sunrises. That pretty much covers the need for why you have a bottle of tequila. And if you decided to go with the brandy, you've got a Sidecar, you've got a Brandy Alexander, and a Stinger. I don't like any of those. I would rather go into the expansion pack where you got your absinthe. You're going to be able to make a Sazerac, Corpse Survivor #2, Death in the Afternoon. That's a Hemingway cocktail. Those are a couple pretty classic cocktails. Deep cuts into the cocktail book. Aperol Spritz. You can make some modification of a paper plane cocktail if you did it this way. You can make the Naked and Famous, which we did like last week. Link below. Benedictine, you're going to be able to make a Vieux Carrés. I believe you want absinthe for that too. Monte Carlo, that's a good drink. Singapore Sling, that's kind of like where I typically spend most of my Benedictine, is just making slings because they're awesome. For Cynar, you can make a variation of the Negroni. I think it's called the Sin Sin. You can also do Little Italy. With Maraschino Liqueur now, you can get into Aviation because you get your gin, you get your Maraschino Liqueur. You can make your Last Word, another very good classic. You can make a Hemingway daiquiri, which is like a daiquiri with even more alcohol in it, which is always a good time. A Chartreuse Swizzle, that Naked and Famous, Greenpoint, you can do those with yellow Chartreuse. Some of them you're, again, going to be able to substitute. For some reason, a Greenpoint calls for yellow Chartreuse, even though it's got green in the name. Don't know why. And last but not least, with the Velvet Falernum, you can make a corn and oil, which we've made on the show, which we used the recipe that was in the back of the bottle of the Velvet Falernum. The Royal Bermuda Yacht Club is another one I would kind of suggest. But realistically, anything that calls for Falernum is going to be in a tiki book. So if you get any type of tiki book or Jeff Berry tiki books, you have one of the core ingredients. But my warning to you, if you're going to get into tiki cocktails, anything serious, you're probably going to end up with more than 6 bottles of just rum variations for your full bar. So not just 6 spirits, but just 6 rums. It gets crazy. Overproof rums, dark rums, blackstrap rums, it's a good time. So there you go. That is the base that you're going to need to have your full bar, your expanded bar, and then from there on, you can just invest in the little things as you go. If you have any questions, links below. If you want to see other videos like this, put your suggestions in there too. That's it. We're teaching you how to drink.